All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Black Art and Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Terry, here at the Mahogany Gallery located in Racine, Wisconsin, 1422 Washington Avenue. And I'm excited to have our guest for today is the one and only Mr. Gary G. out of Indianapolis, Indiana. How you doing, Gary?
I'm pretty good, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, right on. Pleasure to have you on the podcast, man. So let's jump right into this thing. So I met Gary a few weeks ago, actually, at an amazing art fair called Butter in Indianapolis, Indiana, and just a very unique experience that celebrates, Black creativity in all of its forms. In the Midwest and Indianapolis and throughout the United States. So Gary's unique in that how would you categorize your art, Gary? Are you a sculptor? Are you a multimedia artist? Who is Gary?
At times I think I just create the artist. I like to think outside the box. So I really don't want to place myself or put myself in a box. So I just just mixed media. I guess I'll say a mixed media conceptual artist now.
Mixed media conceptual artist. Yeah, okay. All right. So talk about have you always been an artist?
Man, so I think my family probably peeped it before me, but like staying at my grandparents as a kid, so like 4 or 5, like most kids, I like to draw or color on whatever came in the house. So the paper sacks from the grocery store, the blank envelopes that would come in the mail, they didn't throw them away. I just draw on them, In the younger years, didn't have a sketchbook or that's where I was gonna go. In about 6th grade, my mom actually got me like a professional art kit, them long Christmas breaks. So, that's pre-YouTube and all that. So I'm just reading the book and playing with everything in the kit. So I just thought that since it came in the kit that an artist is supposed to do everything art. Like you wasn't supposed to just be I draw or I paint or sculpt.
Yeah.
Some stuff, glass blowing and stuff like that, that's above my pay grade. And like I'm no good on the wheel. But like hand building, I like working with my hands. So I think pretty much my whole life, man, I've just loved to create. Like there's a lot of artists or builders and makers in my family. Like, my grandfather used to build like a carpenter and a machinist. So you just pick up like things along the way, plus it was days like you're a boy, you better know how to use some tools. You gotta come out there. So it's just I guess by having tools or pens and pencils and stuff in my hands at an early age, I just got acclimated into just trying to create. So I think pretty much I've been a lifelong artist, but I didn't take it serious or into the professional realm until like the maybe like 2012. I was went back to school in my mid-30s. So that was after incarceration and different jobs, and was in for graphic design. But while in graphic design, it's like they had an art camp, and I kind of like went down for this week, and I'm taking the fine art classes, and a lady named Stephanie Lewis Robinson at the end of the week, department head's like, where'd you come from and what are you doing? Like, you need to be down here in fine art with us.
Yeah,
I had a conversation, and she was like, I was in Viscom, so the visual communications. I was like, I ain't gonna be a starving artist. And she laughed and said, baby, you could be a starving designer if that ain't what you're supposed to be doing. So, I ended up coming down, joining the program. So that's at Ivy Tech here at home. And so I ended up finishing. She made me, was like, baby, you too far in to turn around and go back. So I had to finish the graphic design degree. But for me, the reward was I could take these fine art classes at the same time.
Yeah, right.
And after that, ended up getting a bachelor's in it. And but I was already showing like in the city, and it's just like my passion, like I just love art. So it was like I was able to immerse myself in it again. So it kind of became like a therapeutic escape at the same time.
Yeah.
So
you touched on two things that I noticed when I talk with artists. One is a design background, like some sort of design creation, whether it's like graphic design or interior design or a lot of artists have that background influence to help them with their fine art practice. So you touched on that, and also you touched on the mentorship. So you had a mentor.
Well, I had a few mentors along the way. So she was the department head, and so she's making me think differently, like challenging me to think outside the box. So I took like all the ologies, like you're gonna need this, you're gonna need that, sociology, not biology, but I did philosophy,
Yeah.
yeah, anything psychology. It was like it all reversed. I'm like, why am I taking all these classes? Only one or two required, but it was like all of that kind of helped add to the context of my thought process. And then another one of my professors became a mentor and a friend. We show as well, like my art brother. So that's Hector Del Campo was a professor. Was like, yo, Mano, you need to go farther. You need to pursue this, because I was ready to just get them associates and be like, man, I got some paperwork. I'm done. Because when I was a kid, my mom would be like, it didn't matter how good I was. She's like, you gonna have to go to school. I'm not the scholastic kid that been kicked out of high school, all kind of stuff. Grades could be fine, but it was just like, I don't know, maybe the conforming or something for me just didn't work at the time. But she would always preach that as a kid, like, you don't have to go back to school. Don't matter how much talent you got. Don't matter how, you got to go to school. It didn't relate to later in life what she was telling me as a black man. You gonna have to have something to prove that you can do this. And it's like, when that wasn't even what I was expecting my life to be. Like as a kid, you dream of being an artist, but it's discouraged because you gotta grow up and get a real job. You know what I'm saying? Or you can't make that kind of money in the art world. So this is in the 80s when they telling you that, and it's like, but now the art world is totally different than it was, when we was growing up.
Yeah, I think that's a common theme with, let me ask you this. So in our culture, do you think that should we be doing more of advocating for kids to learn more about the art as a career, as a skill set?
For me, I think that it's an important outlet, whether a child becomes an artist or not. Art, music, dance, all these things should be in school or a part of a child's curricular, rather they at home getting this or school. But we wasn't always getting it. We taught to work, or we grew up in an industrial era. Everything manufactured, and now most of the stuff is not made in America. We behind in the world, because of free thinking. I think art allows us to be free thinkers, or to be creative, or to think outside of the box. Like we can solve problems with art. Everything in the world, like you touched on design, right? I don't care where you at, somebody has to draw up some kind of ideals or plans, whether it's building a house, a machine, a school, you know what I'm saying, medical equipment. So it's like art is a relevant practice, even as a form of communications. So for me, like the military, even the visual communications, I was in communications then. And then, being with rap music, I was also an audio engineer. But it's like all of these are forms of communication and art. I mean, dating back to hieroglyphics, cave drawings,
Yeah, indeed.
street signs convey messages visually.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, I think it's kids. Yeah.
So, yeah, you said a lot right there, man. That's pretty deep. So let's backtrack a little bit. Talk about you mentioned a few things. One, your experience as an audio engineer, all right? And you did mention, I'll tell you what, let's not get too far ahead. Let's do, so music, right? How do you feel that the music relates to your work specifically? Is there a connection?
For me, I know it's a connection. I mean, a lot of my life is music. Growing up reel-to-reels, the 8 tracks, the cassettes, the albums. The album cover art was always inspiring. Like, you looking at that. I want to know who did this, who made that. Like, the album covers is what drew us in. So I'm looking, I was on everything from R&B to rock, funk, jazz, the comedy albums. Because growing up at my grandparents' house, I got cousins coming through, aunts and uncles. That's when everybody's there. So this is the 70s. So I know for me, like, disco probably touched it on because that's when we born in them eras and classic R&B, but funk music prior to sliding into rap music when it's new. So it's the new. What's that noise you playing?
Right.
So for us, that's like that's my coming of age. That's my era. That's when I think my art director mindset or creative control really started in that late 70s, that early 80s, really. That early 80s to mid 80s when hip hop is a baby. And I'm still basically a baby, preteen, a teenager, and it's encoded in your DNA. But the music is like a soundtrack. It's like it's always playing. Whether it's the music or old movies, and even if I'm watching movies, it's the soundtrack. It's something about the soundtrack. It always sets the tone. So for me, even in my art, like the stuff that I thought I despised as a child, but you learn you love was like jazz. That's old people. But man, really, like, man, it just does something to your mind and your soul without lyrics sometimes. Like, lyrics mean a lot, but sometimes just listening to the music or a nice beat tape or even some of the techno or something that ain't too far, old school R&B, just the instrumentation in here is like I kind of start feeling like I see the band while I'm working. I see them putting and I equate layers of music to the layers of art. Like how we see, hear, and feel. It's like a sensory, like a field of sensory or something like that, like a sensory field, some kind of vision, like when you can't see. Like we get like Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder. It's like make the music that makes everybody see everything in life, but they can't see.
Wow, that's deep, man. You talk about
sometimes like with art, it's like, man, we doing something to people without words necessarily. Like they have to feel what they looking at with us.
And then that's a connection to the sensory. So you're talking about like, your piece with the cigar, right?
Yeah.
What's the name of that piece?
So sensory perception, that was King Fathead.
King Fathead. Yeah.
King Fathead was with the second firing of the card that I showed you, The King is Black. So, and The King is Black was like my most traveled piece, one of them pieces, man. Like my first show in 18, was feature artist in Art and Soul here. And brother named Ernest, a lady named Shannon at the Arts Council. So Ernest Disney Borton and Shannon Linker, they was like, you gonna do this show? So I start working in my mind. You know how we are as artists. I got these paintings, I got this, I'm gonna do that. And they was like, no, Gary, we weren't all ceramic. I was like, huh? Like, what you mean? Like, I did that like an undergrad. I don't have a studio for that. But then relationships, so like how we talk about, art and relationships. So going in a relationship with a spot called the Brickyard here, Amico, they actually make like ceramic supplies, glazes, everything, and they here in Indianapolis. And then the Brickyard is like their storefront.
Oh wow! So you right in the thick of it then.
Right, didn't he know it? Didn't he know it? Didn't he know? One of my professors is actually one of the poster childs in the book. You know what I'm saying? My guy, Corey Jefferson was my professor at Heron, and he telling me this is where you need to go, right? So I'm flipping through their catalog, Modest Cat. I'm flipping through their catalog. I'm like, man, Mr. Corey's in the book. Like,
oh wow!
He in the book,
Get out of here.
So sometimes, man, it's just like, man, like you feel like you just get blessed, man. God or your ancestors, or it's like no matter where you done been at or what you go through, it's always somewhere for you to come to, whether you see it or not. And it's like, so for me, all these little odd jobs, the things that work that I liked that might not have went well, the things that I didn't like but I had to do. I mean, you know what I mean? It's all part of the process. It's like from military to prison, or like that working with kids. It's like I learned so much just dealing with different people in these various just walks of life, man, and you just get different mindsets. So it's like no matter where you at, nobody thinks the same, like linear as far as the whole group. You can find like-minded people, but the whole group collectively, man, everybody usually has different ideas or theories and visions. So for me, like I said, art to me it's still just a form of communication. I mean, so even like us, so like King Fathead and the story behind that. So it was two in that group. So those were from that show in 2018. But my pieces will break on me because it's like I'm trained formally, but I'm not formally trained. Like I had a lot of studies, and just like, man, like Corey was like, man, look, just figure it out. Like do this. So it started at first. I was doing a lot of brick walls. I was doing a lot of brick walls and ceramics, and kind of like writing graffiti on them. And I'll still bring them back, but the heads kind of like just as a Corey did skulls. I did a skull once. Then just the way I illustrate, it was into animation, but now that's one that's intimidated me. I've never really immersed myself where I want to go with the animation, but it's still something that I love and enjoy. So it's like I started trying to make these characters out of ceramics. Like, well, I'm not gonna be a potter, like where I throw the wheel, and it's like that ain't really my style. And I was like, how can I infuse me in this? And I was just playing around one day, and it came, and people were like, man, you need to run with that. So it's like I would touch on it, but stop. So, you know, it's kind of like it's there, but you're like, man, I want to do something. I want to do what everybody else doing.
Well, so tell me, so why were you? So you were kind of like reserved with it, like you weren't really in it 100% yet. Well, why was that?
It was kind of like, man, like I didn't really feel like I was ready yet. Like it really wasn't an avenue for me or a lane, or you making the stuff and it's in the way, or I didn't have access to everything at the time. So even I got a kiln in December. I just started firing it the weekend of butter. You know what I mean? So that's just a couple of weeks ago. Okay. But it's like I was intimidated. Like I don't understand it all. I don't know it all. You know what I'm saying?
You had that thing since December, and you just not using it.
Hey man, crazy. But now see, this is me too, though, right? So when I made the money doing murals, love murals. Yeah. Sometimes they tax my body. I'm arthritic, you know what I'm saying? Disabled. So it's like sometimes I'm cool, I'm fine, and the other days it's like, can't do much. Right. But I made the money, and I knew I needed one, and it just happened to kind of like fall in my lap.
Your lap, yeah.
To where the lady tells me, if you got the space, and it just so happened my studio was set up for a kiln. Had been here for, this is my third year. Didn't even realize we was in the fuse box. Looking at my homie Omar's studio, we was trying to figure out the studio numbers, like none numbers, an older building. So we hitting through, and I said, man, somebody got a kiln in their studio. I'm chasing the stuff in the hall. I said, I'm set up for a kiln in the studio. So it's like I was just blessed to be in the position to get it. You know what I mean? So I just got it because I was like, I got the money. It's one for sale. I got the thing. Let me get it. But I really wasn't messing with the clay. It's just something that I needed. Something that I needed because I seen like,
that's right.
Get it now. So for me, I be thinking in terms like Batman and his utility belt.
Yeah.
He might pick up something at episode 3, but won't use it at episode 56 or 53. You know, you're like, damn, you gotta be a real fan and know he copped it. Like,
right.
So
you were preparing yourself because you're gonna need it at some point.
At some point. So even like I said, when you don't know, the path might be getting set for you, or God, you know, telling you. So it's like I can admit I was intimidated because I was like, well, I ain't the best at it. But then nobody really doing what I do with it.
Right.
Most of the time it looks the same, or it's in a fashion where they doing something that's unique too, but it's like, I ain't doing that. I'm trying to find my own lanes, and it's the hip hop head in us.
Yeah.
So
right.
I guess, man, it just was like, man, it's time to go because, like Butter and some of the galleries or people that I've talked to, most of the galleries that I've talked to in other states, the 3D work just catches their attention.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm up here running from a gift that's being gifted to me that I'm prepared to do if I just put in some more work.
Yeah.
Like, now I just got to add that to my lane to be intentional. Like we was talking prior, we just got to be intentional sometimes. Like everything was here for me.
Well, it just
and
takes,
you just
like,
got to utilize it.
That's a perfect example where, you just wasn't, at the time, you just wasn't ready to receive it just yet. The time was coming, and that's just the that's just the universe talking to you, man. That's
Yeah. But that's why, I be talking to people too, like, man, like, you can't base your success off the next person's success or think like this is what it's supposed to be like, because we all get it in our own way. Like you said, when it's time for you to receive the information you're supposed to get, you might be getting it along the way. It's preparing you when you pay attention. And sometimes I was paying attention, and maybe other times I really wasn't paying attention to what I was supposed to. I'm just going through the motions. But luckily it just aligned right for me. It's just been a lot.
So you touched on you being incarcerated. So do you want to, could you share with us about that experience and how did that help you grow into the person that you are today, right now?
So for me, as a youngster, like most of us in the 90s, late 80s, high school probably started, man, it's easy to get money. You can hustle. I mean, boys throwing whatever at you. But like doing research and timelines, I figured out that I grew up in the Pablo Escobar era. So rather we was trying to get it or not, money was flowing, drugs was flowing, everything's flowing, we get addicted to the lifestyle. So it'd be, I'm gonna get a job, then you go work, man. I can go make more than this in the neighborhood in a couple of hours, go kick it, do what I want to do. But long story short, got pretty good at it for a while. You start leveling up. Freak accident. I've been in and out of trouble. Had a lawyer so I could beat stuff. I ain't worried about nothing. Keep my nose clean, move like I need to move. Ironically, I get caught for some drugs that I never saw, never even touched. You know what I mean? At this particular time. So I'm just caught up, man, because they kicked in our door and we gone. So I ain't there. But it's like I go down for this. So it's like they dismissed the case on me. So I got a co-defendant, my cousin. So he gone, I'm gone. Then he come back, I'm gone. So then, man, I'm just working, chilling, and living in Memphis. Snatched me up one day. My roommate got the wrong plates on the car, ain't registered. Some simple stuff. So I ain't doing nothing wrong, but it's just, hey, my number called today. You know what I'm saying? So I end up, that time they let me out on bond, go back, come to jury trial. It's just me. Cousin cut out again. Well, I ain't gonna tell on him. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sit here like whatever y'all got time to throw it out before. Then we cocky like, I'm gonna beat this. I'm tripping. I ain't worried about y'all. But of course, when the jury looks at you, and the jury of your peers is not your peers, boom. So I'm gone. But for me, it was weird. I was on the old sentencing guidelines, so I was facing 20 to 60 years. And I ain't budging. Like, I ain't signing no pleas because I'm like, this time it ain't me. I just think, I'm not telling on nobody else out there. Because like my mama told me when we was kids, like, you got caught, your buddies did. So with whoever was with you outside of murder, if you was there, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? Just man up, take your stuff. So this time I end up going to prison. So for me, cocky, street cat, I ain't no rich dude, but I got a couple of dollars. So I'm thinking as long as I pay a lawyer, I'm gonna get out of here. Like, it's time to go. That's your number. But I done lost friends that's gone. They did. So they ain't coming back. So for me, this is my time off the board, but it's removing me from this game and put me in another game. And so for me, I just started looking at, I equated the prison life like, well, if I wasn't doing the stuff that I was doing prior to that, I wouldn't even been in a position to be here. So I can't be mad at the world, can't be mad at cuz, can't be mad at the judges, the lawyers, but I ended up getting 20. They ended up sentencing me to 20 years, which was the plea they was trying to make me sign. But at the time, so that's 20 to 10 years, And I'm like, anybody, I can do this time standing on my head, ain't nothing. I'm straight G for mine. By the third year, I'm like, I'm praying, like, God, please, just let me go. Like, I'm cool. I won't be back in the streets. I ain't worried about no clubs, no clothes, no hoes, no car, nothing. I just want to answer the telephone, some silly stuff like sit in the bathtub, walk outside at night, just play with my kids. The simple stuff is what I crave. Right. Conviction gets overturned, man.
Ain't that something?
Conviction gets overturned and said I should have never even been charged, let alone sentenced. So it's like, even though it's like you giving this time back, you don't give nothing back. You experience this. But while I was there, hanging with older cats. So like one of my homies, P-Town, cat named Ples Mears, R.I.P., like knew my uncle from being locked up. So when it come in, G ain't a common name. So man, you never like Randy G. So talking to me about my uncle, they kind of take me under my wing. They in the law library. So just like they putting that fat on my head. You don't be doing this, that, and the other. You need to do this. Man, you a sharp brother. I end up working in the literacy department in the prison. So I'm helping cats that can't read or write. So, man, they gonna be aggressive or timid. So it's like, man, hey, we all come from the same. Ain't nobody worried about that. But it's like when you start finding out, man, everybody got different learning styles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody learning styles. But I remember meeting this little brother named Dante. I ain't seen him in years, but when the joint brother couldn't get it, he wasn't passing like the math portion or something. And I'm like, man, you can tell the brother's smart enough though, right? I talk to him in the terms you can relate, which sometimes I do my work the same way. It's a street or the dope art. Right. I was like, man, fragment, fractions. Just think of how you dealing with it in street terms. Brother went from that straight to the GED thing, and he got his GED in the time because my mama told me to tell you thanks. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, while I'm there, even in my dark time, I'm like, man, I'll spend my time trying to help other people. Like I wasn't gonna let them, and just even on the bus ride, talking, it was a brother heard I had some college, even though I didn't finish the end, I've been to the military, got kids. He was like, hey man, when we get there, you black, they sent us to Kentucky. It's like the corporate, the CCA. When you get there, brother, you smart. They're going to try to put you in the kitchen or be a janitor. You tell them you want to work at the school. So they gave me grief at first. Like, no. He said, because you smart. So it took a minute to even get there. But I was like, man, just being blessed. Like sometimes, like, kind of like they say for the religious people, like God will find you in your darkest places. You know what I mean? So for me, that was a lot of my darkest place. So even in prison, sometimes they would send me to deadlock, all for the safety and security of the institution. They think I'm a trip out, or you get in a situation like, man, I'm calm, but sometimes in that solitude, I would find myself and be cool. Then I had an aunt who my husband's wife, my Aunt Mona, actually worked at IMA at one point, but was cool with a lady that had a black bookstore here one time, Expression. So she would be sending me books. I'm asking for hood stuff or stuff I want. Send me some Dr. Nami and Akbar books. Human transformation to know thyself. Changed me. I think we got there because I wanted Nigger by Randall Kennedy, the train troublesome word. So these books alone had the prison people probably looking tripping because I'm in rural Kentucky. And then other prisoners like, man, hold on. So, you just get to having these conversations. So for me, I feel like that time was an incubator for me to humble myself and relearn. Because like prison don't rehabilitate nobody. Like we rehabilitate ourselves. And I already knew going in, like this ain't for me, but I'm here. You know, I'm gonna do it. Like I ain't gonna cry about it, but I don't want to be here. But this is home. You know what I'm saying? So one time the chaplain told me, he said, "Man, Gary G, you know you the freest man I ever met in my life." And he like, I know you looking at me like you in prison, but it's like your mind, like, and that's one thing, you know, just from listening to other stuff like Larry Hoover, you got an Iceberg Slim, you know, Robert Bex, Donald Goins. It's like, man, you cannot let nobody take your mind. So, and that's the thing that makes us dangerous, I think, as Black men or as artists. If we use our minds, man, we are powerful beyond measure. If we learn how to use our minds and work together like our ancestors did, we really be an unstoppable force. So it's like, you know, I say Rome wasn't built in a day. I wasn't rebuilt overnight. So the little 3.5 years that I did there straight, and the other little couple of years with the county or trying to duck and dodge them for a minute on the run, it was like all that just transformed my mind to a different process. It's like, I don't want to live like that no more. For one, you know what I'm saying? But then you still got that, even if it's the money or just the drive or I got to do something, like I can't be stuck in this 9-to-5 world, man. It ain't gonna work for me. Like I do what I got to do when I had to do it, or for my kids. But it's like, man, I just be feeling like I'm trapped. And sometimes because some of the jobs that I had, especially when I first came home, you know, I done gave the time back. So it's like I apply for a job, and it's like, well, the answers are crazy. Like, well, I'm not a convicted felon because they removed the charge, but I done been gone for like 4.5 years in prison or in county jail. So it's like, well, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? So then it's like they treat you different. So some of the stuff that I would think that people was exaggerating about when I was younger, didn't even know it, like a brother got a felony or you'd have been locked up. It's anybody, male, female, black, white, or brown. You've been locked. People, man, sometimes look at you funny. You know what I'm saying? And you start looking like, damn, there's so many people that have been locked up that you don't realize them been locked up.
Yeah.
That they overcame that, like, this don't have to be the end of my story. And when I got released, you know, just a lot of the cats that I would deal with in there, like programs, like, man, was like, you got a purpose. God got a plan for you. And I was like, you know, be looking, because most of the dudes are people that get really, you know, they start, to me, it's like they kind of fake with it. But they're like, oh man, God this, and they gonna go to church and they gonna this, that, and the other. And I said, man, I ain't about to lie to God as you know it, or myself. Like, that ain't my path. But he still got a plan for you. You're gonna find out what it is. So it's crazy, man, because as time went on. So when I first came home, homie of mine, Ron, had a shop, stylist, did hair of mine, everything. So we just talking, the hustler spirit. I ended up selling hair products. This brother named Gerald Rogers. So I sold a lot of the popular brands, running out of beauty shops, but it's like repositioning yourself and humble, because like it ain't a hustle, but you still moving like a hustle. And it's, so it's like I'm learning along the way. Then I end up, though, one of the stops was the hair school. I end up in hair school for a cosmetology degree, so I can understand the language that all these ladies are talking about anyway. They asking about the products, and then, well, I learned how to do it. Don't mean that's what I'm gonna do for a living. But then it ended up, I stopped working for Gerald for a while, ended up on my homie Ron's shop for about 3 years, 3.5 years. So for this first 5 years of coming home, I done totally changed from a street cat to a dude that's running around with beauty supplies and in hair school. So people are like, man, what's wrong with this brother?
Yeah, how do people, you had to have gone through a lot of, like, you know,
like what, man, what's wrong with this dude? And then while I'm in the shop doing hair, meeting people, being cool. So it's a humbling experience, because once again, it's something I really don't know how, but I found that I can do it.
Right.
It's the artist. So wherever I was at, I would be drawing along the way too, right?
Yeah.
That's how I ended up in school for the graphic design with the chapter 31, the VA. So this is how I'm paid for a lot of these schools too. So being a disabled vet that was causing me problems, that had me hustling as a youngster because I wasn't being confiscated, right? ends up being the thing that saves me later to change my life. Or I was still getting a little bit of money even when I was incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? So I get a little bit, the kids will get a little bit of my check. So it wasn't great. It's like, you know, you can stay consistent. And like I said, I think I just redeveloped my mind or my mindset, like going through all these processes. Frustrating. You know, it's frustrating, but while incarcerated too was the one time, I forget her name, man, but it was a lady. It was the first time I had a woman instruct one of these classes. Okay. But it was an anger management class. Okay. So, you know, ask these questions like who makes you mad and what triggers you and this, that, and the other. So, man, you can name a baby mama, the job, being locked up. And at the end of this list is you. You know, at the end of this list is you. Wow. So even though other people may make us mad, people close to us might know our triggers. If we allow them to keep pushing these buttons, then we, you know what I'm saying? We allowing ourselves to self-destruct. So it's like, damn, I had to come to prison to get this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like a lot of little life lessons and valuable lessons that I learned there. And then I related that time, like I would look at the structure of prison, just like the structure of the military. Organized, gotta be in bed, gotta get up, bed, gotta be made at a certain time, walking this line, walk. So to me, this stuff was a joke. To be honest, I laugh. So when people getting mad, I'm laughing like, this is your job. This is what y'all supposed to do. Y'all trying to hurt us, corral us. It's the corral mindset. Okay, go on. But I'm reading Dr. Lamy and Akbar at the same time. Management classes. I'm in the NAA class, even though I'm like, I don't have a drug problem. But the way I end up sitting on as one of the people on the board, then I'm the assistant. Then for a minute, when my big homie, Jimmy, go in the program, I'm running the NAAA program. Wow. But I still too, like on the 12 steps. Wow. As hustlers, we got withdrawal systems, just like if you was an addict. You know, we addicted to money, we addicted to the fast pace, the streets. So it's like you got an addiction. The first steps is like admitting there's a problem. So for me, it was like, well, hell, I'm in prison and I can say I ain't do this, I ain't do that or the other. But if I wasn't out there hustling for all these years, thinking I'm getting away with something because I keep getting cases. You making cops mad at you. People like this, that they just living for free. It minister society. You know, that's me. I got to deal with it. You know, I don't want to be here. I don't want to come back. The recidivism rate when I'm there, they like 85% of y'all coming back. 15% out of 100. Is not coming back here. So my goal to be I just started looking around the room and count. There's 100 of us in here. Me, you, maybe you, and this the maybe 5. Y'all coming back for sure because y'all already talking about what y'all gonna do when y'all get out. Right. Let me stay away from y'all, and that's how hanging with them old cats. Or cats that's like got families, or you know they read, and like it was his one brother McKeevan. See, McKeevan still he used to be drawn in the dorm. So I'm like, damn, man, I used to go to art class. Art class is my favorite. I took a couple of them Saturday schools of hair when I was in junior high. It's like, man, I was the first black kid at IU for Summer Arts Institute in the 80s. Like, let me go get me a sketchbook. Like, I ain't doing it to try to sell. Like some dudes, they making their money. And that's a cool hustle and they good at it. But I was like, I'm just trying to do stuff to pass my time and relieve my mind. So I got certain shows I'm gonna watch on my little idiot box. I got some books I'm gonna read. I got this sketch pad. I write stuff every now and then. My desire to rap was kind of gone. He ain't trying to be out there rapping on the yard, but man, I just write my thoughts down. Write down places I want to go. And people will say, "What you want? You need anything? Been on a vacation? Send me some pictures. Go buy some water. Take me a picture of some water." You know what I'm saying? So for me, the water is clues. I'm a water scientist. But the water was like, it was endless. So I got all these pictures of water. islands I still ain't been able to afford to go to. Bora Bora, Fiji, as far away from this Wheelwright, Kentucky as I can be, with some beautiful landscape is what I was destined to, that would just keep me on. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. It's a horizon. It's a journey, man. I don't know how long it's gonna take to get there, but I'm out to see something better than where I'm at right now.
Yeah, but maybe you actually there already. You know what I'm saying? Like if you think about that, you know what I'm saying? You got a story, man. You know, you've been through a lot. You know what I mean? And from what I see and what I hear, like you've actually been a light throughout that whole time, but you didn't know it though.
Yeah, no, because you'll feel like your light is dim, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
sometimes you are placed in places or situations where you need to be, whether you know it or not. So for me, it's a two-way street. Like I seen a brother I ain't seen in years, can't remember his name, but he seen me at a party last week on the rooftop. Said, man, just like you said, where we done been, good to see you on the other side. So, I know just talking to him and there, I mean, that was real. I don't remember his name, but I remember us being there. You know what I'm saying? So, and then, you might talk about the cast that went back to what they was doing or what we was doing beforehand, and they ain't here or they gone off the board forever. And it's like, man, I don't have to be the most powerful piece on the board, but I know I don't want to be a pawn.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be the king, but I ain't gonna be a pawn.
That's deep.
Which is strange because, like, the narrative with the skulls is, so when they break, it was frustrating me. But for me, I put them back together because it's like we done been broken and had to put ourselves back together at times.
Yeah, and I think so. King Fathead is a representation of that too. That's kind of
patient of that. And then how he came with the cigar, he been on storage, man. He been on ice because the King is Black was like, he was the one out the group, right?
Okay.
So he like underboss or the side homie that didn't really get no shine, even from me. I ain't take him on the road as much, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
I brought him out on Instagram and I was smoking a cigar like outside the studio, walked in the building like, damn, let me tap my cigar out. So I just like, I just stuck it in the skull that I had just pulled out.
That's how that went down. Okay.
I'm looking for work I got. So I just stuck him in his mouth, and it's almost like that Jordan moment. You know what I'm saying? When he got the right. You thinking Capone, and it's like
right.
And it was just like I just put it in there like it's a joke, and people was like, "Man,
it's hot.
You need to keep that in there. You need to keep that in there." So then when Brady and them came and did the studio vision, and normally I don't just agree with everybody, but the people are right. And I'm gonna tell you, you need to leave it in there. So we just put it on the show, man, and it was like a silent hit. And then it's crazy because it's the brother for my score that was my standout last year.
Oh wow, yeah. So I haven't seen that one. The King.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. It's on the card I gave you.
Oh, okay.
I gave you. Yep. Yeah, that's the King is Black. So that's my piece. So that was my piece. I started in 2018, and it was at Art and Soul here, right? Then it ended up at the spot called. No, I was in Black Creativity in Chicago, Museum of Science and Industry.
Okay.
At a spot called Access Architecture by way of Al Moulton, Indiana Contemporary Museum.
Okay.
It closed down, but they had it there. Okay. I took it from Access, was letting them show it. I took it from Access. I was used to do this raw artist. So I took it to Brooklyn with me. No, Queens. I did an art show in Queens. So that was my first New York show, pop up, take that with me. I ain't really expecting to sell it nowhere, right? But I'm just taking it like, this is what I do, because people would trip off of it. So I took it there with me. Ended up taking it to Frisco, the same thing. I think I took to San Francisco with me. I took it to, it was in somewhere else that I take that joint to. Oh, National Urban League.
Okay.
National Urban League had a conference here one year, the national conference here. I'm not really thinking about, the level of it. I ain't pop into the last day. Brother named Mike Graves curated it. And me and Mike Gray, he cool too, hip hop head. It was like we had needed to work together, so that's the time we worked together when he curated this show. I had not for sale on it. I don't know who wanted to buy it, but he said some brother was mad that it wasn't for sale. So then it's kind of like, I got it. It's one of my favorite pieces. I ain't really trying to get rid of it.
You talking about the King is Black?
Black, the first one, right? Yeah. So then ends up it's on ice again for a while. I done shown it in a few other places, but it's like when Butter come around, I put it in Butter last year. So they got the piece. They like, we want to show this. It ends up in the magazine, Indianapolis Monthly. And they got a page called The Good Life, right? So it just laid out with the G is over the top of my crown and the page is just black. It's a full page spread and it's going into the inaugural Butter. So it's like, man, this is when it's like, damn, this shit's getting real to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of them moments where you feel like, oh, man.
Right.
And, and it's right after the George Floyd, all this that happened. Painted a mural in 20. That was 21. We done a street mural for the Black Lives Matter mural before we become the 18 officially, before Molly and Allen officially become gang. So all this stuff is just happening organically before they even hit with Butter, right? So just love and camaraderie. Like you could feel like it's change in the air. Like it's a feeling. So the same weekend of Butter, the State Museum buys 2 of my pieces from a panel that I did when we had the riot and the windows was boarded up here. So I got We the People in 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the world stood still. They brought them on Butter's inaugural weekend. Then I turned around Sunday, and it was funny because off camera we was talking about fingers, right? Love that. So we all worked together in the 18, but when that piece got sold, Butter won. Fingers the first one to see me when I walk in the door. Like, hey, man, you got a yellow dot, right? You sold that piece. Takes me right to it. This year, Butter, I got late to the opening and one of my first little scores sold. One of my favorite ones. I holler. Soon as I see come up on the scene, Fingers, man, you just not getting here. You got a yellow dot.
2 years in a row. So
But then we sell King Fathead, the lady I was talking to, Stevie. She telling me if I ain't got this piece by the end of the night, something wrong. So she brought King Fathead. But see, last year, the same weekend while I was riding so high, so the same weekend that the State Museum brought their piece, I'm just happy I'm in Butter. Their goal is to sell 100% of the artwork. Well, the King is Black sales. It's gone. It's sold on that Sunday. That's the dot that Fingers is bringing me to see. The collector of King is Black are Molly and Al. It hangs in the gang office. So it's just like the synergy and the camaraderie and the feeling and just this broken piece that really describes me and other Black men in my sense. The King is Black, the King is within, the God is within you. We wear our crowns, which ironically, like, some things you inspired by stuff you don't know, Basquiat, Warhol, Heron, all of them are the banging dudes when I'm in junior high. So I know they art, I don't know who they are. So all these crowns done laid dormant, but it's also we need to walk upright and realize that we kings, we all call us up, hey King, what's up? If we really mean it, we gotta walk upright with these crowns, no matter what scars or whatever that been thrown at us to break us. We have to keep going. We got to stand upright. We got to persevere. So it's like this piece that I made on the fly, because they going to challenge me to do an all ceramic show. When it broke, instead of panicking, I put the pieces back together again. My life was the same way. It was broken and I had to put it back together again, because the other thing that I realized, like, when we're incarcerated, if we're in the streets or we gone, whatever, when we on this board, it ain't just you on the board. So I got sons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I knew I didn't want my boys to grow up and be doing the same thing that I was doing, which none of them are. Totally different kids, you know what I'm saying? So that's the blessing too. Like, I got to come back for them. Like, my pops wasn't around when I was a kid, but he was around for them also when they was kids and I come home. He ends up moving back in the city. So my parents, they wasn't together, you know what I'm saying? But mom's always been there, but it's something like when your daddy involved or you got a male to back you up as a man growing, you just feel better. So for me too, it ended up staying out of trouble. My oldest son liked to hoop. I take my little cousins, his friend, whoever they in that group. I'm that daddy to just take them where they want to go.
Yeah, right.
So y'all staying out of trouble. I'm staying out of trouble. It's like life because we got to change our thought process. And so for me, prison made me realize like what's the most valuable things in life when they be like, money can't buy you love, money can't buy you peace, it can't buy you happiness. You can get things that make you feel happy, but that real happiness and peace is loving what you do or loving the people that love you back in return. It's like my other theory is like I've done enough like wrong in life, wild shit that I can't take back. You know what I'm saying? It made me who I am, but I can't take it back. So I can't erase none of the wrong that I've done in life, but I can make it my goal to do more good in life with the time that I have left. So for me, it's like, man, I just feel like people say a second chance. I can't count how many chances I've had. You know what I'm saying? I can't count how many chances I've had. So it's like with this new lease, a new outlook on life, like, and it ain't easy. A full-time artist ain't easy. So dating all that, man, this dude a bum, or especially when I'm back in school, I'm in my 30s doing art. Like, man, what is he doing? He's getting free money. People don't take you seriously. Then we outside the box. Like there's not a lot of, now it's getting better in society, but there wasn't a lot for you too. There's not a lot of the positive Black role models or artists that you were seeing. They wasn't teaching us that even if you go to school. I wasn't necessarily getting Ernie Barnes in the books. I learned that off the books. You know what I'm saying?
So true.
You ain't really getting the Harlem Renaissance. They either gonna run over it or skip it. You know what I mean? So it's like, whoa, when we start finding real history or even just like artifacts around the world, and I think for me that's the tie with sculpture. It's like it's something that calls me. You know what I mean? Like it's something that these monuments and images, they stay in my head, whether it's the Africanoid, the Latin styles, the indigenous, because it's all indigenous to us. It all relates back like to me, like the original man or the man traveling or where we are around the world. So like, I think my goal now is to see just like I like the museums as we call it, but to go see some of these ruins and relics all over the world, Latin, Africa's, Asia Minors, like, and just really see firsthand, like, even in the Grand Canyons, it's like some hieroglyphs in there, like, just reach back through history, man. Like, so I think that's why the skulls or the sculpture. So to me, it's like they new artifacts.
Yeah.
They new artifacts. So they based on a world that might not exist or we might not have known about, or is it part of a real world? It's like it's in this dreamscape, which I guess now is the metaverse. So
that's deep. In our culture, we're rooted in pottery and clay and like that,
wood carvings, stone carving.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just taking it back. You taking it back to the roots is what you're doing in a new way, like in your way. And I want to just bring something up too, real quick. You mentioned the kids. Like you have a beautiful opportunity, and what you've been doing. Your kids get to see you pursuing your passion and getting paid for what you love to do, as not punching the clock. You're getting paid from your own creativity. I mean, how powerful and impactful is that as a Black man to show that to Black boys?
Man, that's one of the coolest things, just even kids in general, because a lot of times it's like I look like they daddies or they uncles. I look like they daddy, they uncles, big cousin, big brother. It's the big homie in the neighborhood. So that's why, like, Like, I love my suits. I had another brother, man, that was trying to tell me in the beginning, like, I'm gonna have to change my image, I'm gonna have to change my art. I'm like, man, no, I gotta be me. Because that's the hip hop in us. It's like, I gotta be me. So when I come to these kids and I'm me, they see that I'm me. I ain't trying to fake it to fit in with them. I laugh, play with them like they my nieces and nephews. I'll be serious if I gotta be serious with you. But I know one little brother, and every now and then I being myself, man, I might cuss. Like, you know, just talking to a kid is you a class clown or trying to clown. Like, dude, I'm a class clown. I done been to school with class clowns. I was in junior high with Mike Epps, certified class clown. So we was a zoo of class clowns. I'm like, y'all ain't that funny, and y'all ain't that rough, because I was in the rough school too at the time. So it's like, man, it's funny to me. So like one little dude trying to clown me, like trying to choose this, you this, that, you this. I said, hey man, you know, I get paid to do what I love to do. That's make art and run my mouth.
Right.
So you talking crazy to me, but you robbing your friends of the time they got with me here. But you still got to get from here to where you at. I'm trying to tell you, follow your passion, not the paper. The paper gonna come. Right. So some people look at me like, man, this dude crazy. He ain't got nothing. Da, 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 da. But the kids now, they relate to that. So now I'm just happy being me. I love the skin I'm in now. Like, I appreciate that. Like, you know, the scars and scrapes or battle wounds I got, I can try to get you to avoid that, little brother. Yeah. Like, you know, if your reading scores ain't right, or man, just you getting in trouble going to school, man, they putting your name on the list, man. Like, eventually somebody's betting on you to be dead or go to jail. So I remember, man, cool too, Officer Tryon. Officer Tryon and Officer Williams from Arlington still love y'all. But Tryon, you know, they real police officers. We just thinking they security because they in school. But I heard caught up one time, man, we ain't get caught, but the smell gave us away.
Yeah, okay.
We're in the auditorium, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, we should go this way. And they're like, no, let's go the back way. So we get called by Miss Greenwood, the principal, Tryon, with it catches. So they like, I've been being good for the most part, you know. But it was like they was disappointed in us on this particular day. We ain't dirty or nothing. But me, a brother named Jay from the neighborhood, I forget who the third cat was with us. But just like years later, we out of high school, right? Jay leaving the unemployment office. I'm coming in. I don't know if another brother came, but then we see the officer trying, and he see both of us, and he kind of smiling in a good way. And he said, boy, it's good to see y'all. Because I thought y'all would have been dead or locked up by now. So I'm like, damn, it's messed up that he said that. But when you think back, it's like, man, people ain't really being funny. They really telling you the truth. Right. And like, even for myself, I was like, prison was a better alternative. So I became thankful of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I still talk to like one of my homies' mamas every now and then. Like, you know, one of my day ones tatted on me. Got killed on Valentine's Day, minding his own business. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the coolest cats, baby, coolest cats you would have ever met in life. You know what I'm saying? But he was just a big brother. He bigger than me. So, or intimidated, he get killed minding his own business. They shooting at somebody else. So I look at things like that, you know. And then sometimes, so like even with the kids or with other artists, like I've had an opportunity to be the first or the first brother, or especially the first brother that looks, acts, walks, and talks like me, to do certain venues or to get certain grants or fellowships. So it's like, revert back to the brother Ernest was like, you know, if you do this right, it works for everybody. But if you mess up, it messes up for everybody. And trying to put no pressure on you, it's just the facts. So I'm like, man, I would rather know the facts. We ain't got to sugarcoat nothing. And for us, most of the time being black men, we found out firsthand, these are the facts. Right. You're going to be prejudged for whatever. And you got some size on you, got hair, a beard, those tattoos, anything that they can say this type 1A male with this, and this is automatically like, you're going to be stereotyped. So I know, like you would know, it's fun to break the stereotypical molds of what they expect or think that we should be. So a lot of times I found I walked in rooms and I mean, it's just a piece of paper at the end of the day, but I earned these pieces of paper. Like I got more degrees and certifications than some of the people that was making more money than me. So on some of the jobs, that's what made me start being like, you know what? If artists think outside the box and we supposed to be problem solvers, but y'all just treating me like it's another old brother, I'm like, what the fuck am I here for?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can invest these same 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 hours a day in me.
You, right.
And for about 2 months, I was like rolling cool, right? And then it was like them bills started hitting, and I was like, man, I might have messed up. Like, damn, well, how am I do this? Because I can't do this if I'm doing that. And the phone started ringing. One of them phone calls was at Art and Soul. So it was like I started getting little checks. They wasn't, wasn't no sales where like last weekend or a couple weekends ago, like I said, Butter, man, was a blessing for me. Like it was almost a near sellout for me. I ain't done that in none of my shows. You know what I'm saying? And to be like, I stepped outside the arena that I want to try to go. And it's like, that's another thing I love with them is like, they'll push me to like, hey, G, we need that in Butter. Or we can see that here. It's like, so when you got people that believe in your vision or see stuff, like sometimes for you, even ahead of you, because you in your own bubble. And it's like, man, you take the time to listen just to a few people here or there, one or two, the right person, you're going to get the information you need when you pay attention. So I equated that like that's how I got out of prison. That's how I navigated when I was injured in the military and how I'm going to get compensated, even though it took time. So like sometimes it's all about consistency or that work, when the clock is off or it's not a time clock. Like I done got to the point now, like, some people, man, like family members, you love them, chick I was dating or whatever, they're not understanding that I don't have a time clock. Like I ain't gonna get paid like you get paid. Like I gotta put these hours in here at the studio, So then you revert back to just like music. So musicians like equating the lifestyle. So for me, it was like, what if I package myself as a visual artist, like as I'm the rap artist, I'm the executive producer of this own product. So for me, it's just I became me. The Cat in the Hat is part J.J. Evans from Good Times and part B-Boy that had to fight for his Kango in junior high to come home with it. Yeah. So it's like synonymously they become one. And Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. Now we know Black Panther. They got logos. All the old school rap groups. Public Enemy, Eric B. and Rakim, P.E., I said P.E., Fat Boys, Curtis Blow, LL. Everybody had a logo. I'm looking at that album cover or Ice-T, you know what I'm saying? They all had a logo, was drawn aspects. You're like, damn. So as I start breaking it down, like, what if I move like that? The merchandise, think back to, remember the old Ghetto Boys, even Rockaware. Before they had a big brand, they started out, it was in the album jackets. You buy the tour jacket, buy the Def Jam tour jacket, And it's like looking at that same pattern, like, man, hold on. Like, so it's just me is like trying to marry the worlds synonymously that I know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the animation and the comic books, the music and the movies, it's just the lifestyle, do all this. And it's just like, hey, here it is in one. So sometimes I think, like when I come into the classrooms, the kids are like, they meeting me, but it's like just the character of who I am, you know what I'm saying? So you just be yourself, like, I guess 1 foot at a time, one in front of the other, just like, we'll never know where the journey is going to take us because, like I said, for a kid who wasn't necessarily a dummy, but would be bored in school. So I'm kicked out of school, got to get a GED. I'm only getting a GED so I can go to the military. I'm only going to the military so I can get away because at the time, boys in the streets is wilding and the older cats telling on each other in the neighborhood and getting caught up. And I'm like, well, I ain't got that kind of money where I can just move on and do whatever. But I was young enough and smart enough. Let me go to the military. My daddy was talking about, you need some discipline anyway. So that was young, exit, get up out of the hood and try to leave. So it helped, but it was learning some different things. Got to travel a little bit, So that's why I said, I guess for me, I just look back like how everything is just layers. So the music is layers, the art is layers, our life is in layers. And it's just like what you do with this composition. You know what I'm saying? Do I let the music play? Do I remix the music? Do I scrap this music and start all over? Well, scrapping it and starting all over ain't an option. You know what I'm saying? You're gone, you're gone. That's the problem. Like we'll say these kids are wild. I know one time we were the wild kids, but I think the video games and something in this era and social media is like warped. Like y'all don't get no do-overs. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no reset. So you gone, you gone. So for me, it's looking at like when they say don't worry about what you don't have, you know what I'm saying? Where you ain't at, you got to start with what you have, where you at. So for me, it just was like, if I take these ideals that I got in my head or these thoughts, instead of just writing them down on these pieces of paper randomly and pull back, put them in these sketchbooks. Like I think I started sketchbooks at like 16, but reinvented them like on the collegiate level to where this is like a journal. So when I go back in these, I got notes, I got research, I got free flowing ideals, got sketches. So sometimes I can go tap into something old that I forgot about, or it might have been just 30 seconds, 30 minutes of drawing, 30 seconds, a couple of minutes, just a quick idea you just put down 5, 10 years ago. And it's like, man, it becomes relevant today.
Yeah. Wow. Man, man, I don't have any more questions for you, man. You touched on so much in this conversation, man. So in this I think we're about an hour into this. That's cool.
It don't even feel like it, man. That's crazy.
Man. I told you time flies when you're having fun, man. You got so much knowledge, man, so much inspiration, man, and so much energy and passion, man, that you carry with your life and through your work. We can see it through your work. So
Right.
before we head out of here, I want to tell everyone where can they find you? Where can they find you online on social media?
So online is Art by Gary G. Updates coming soon, I promise. On Instagram is where you'll find me most of the time, and that's Original Gary G. You'll see that hat logo pop up on there, and you know I'm on there a lot, man. I run my mouth, I show my artwork.
Right on.
Yeah, I still hit Facebook. I'm trying to push towards that TikTok with the youngsters, but I'm really like in person guy. I like doing things in person, old school OG.
Yeah. Dig it. Well, man, Gary, I appreciate you, being a part of this episode of the Black Art and Culture podcast. Everybody, be sure to go follow Gary G, Indianapolis, Indiana. Really dynamic brother who does sculpture and drawings and paintings. And I didn't bring up, but I saw something that was really dope. Gary was like these little sculptures, and it was a brother with the B-boy hat on with the Kango, and it looked like it was maybe like a
3D work. Yeah, 3D.
Yeah. So I need some of those. First of all, I need some of those. And we'll talk about that, but that's pretty cool. So that's kind of is that something new for you, or?
Yeah, so man, it's like I see some like Claws, and I was at Art Basel, and man, a lot of them people be clowning with the 3D printing and the sculptures, and I'm like, it's just wild to see something that you done drew or just created, and you see it kind of come to life, man. So it was like, what if I did a B-boy? Like I'm seeing similar stuff where people do the little animals and the anime. I'm like, let me put my style on it. So whatever I do, man, I'm gonna try to have that hip hop element and vibe with it. But that was actually year 1, year 2. So I curate a show called Hip Hop Anthology, and I do it in volume. So volume 2, that was the postcard for that volume. And I sent it off to these 3D printers, Zigs, and they hit it for me. Like I was just like, man, I don't want to send them no serious artwork yet. Let me send them something. I'm gonna send them this sketch and see what they do. Man, they nailed it.
That, man.
I was like, man. And then people were like, man, I want one of them. So now it's like I'm trying to put together an army of them, and then do get a bulk print so it'll be the same one. You know,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
people think
yeah.
I can get them whatever they want. I'm like, no, we can change the colors. But my ideal is to create a little arsenal of some of my little characters. So then you got more than one's collectors or
Yeah,
like, you know, the
yeah,
different editions, like I said. So yeah, and then I love to be up here kicking in the mahogany. So make sure you get some.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I love them, man. First time I saw them, I'm like, those are dope, man. We need to get some of those. That most definitely. So when you get back on that, let me know. All right.
Yes, sir. We
Um,
all
right on. Gary, man, pleasure to have you on here, man. You know, much success, much love. You know, appreciate what you're doing. And man, you know, keep shining your light down in Indianapolis and all over the world, brother.
man, thank you. Definitely an honor to be here, man. Arts and culture, Black arts and culture, mahogany, man. Appreciate you, Scott, for real.
Right on. All right, everybody. Be sure to check out this episode online at mahoganygallery.com as well as our YouTube channel, Mahogany Gallery. So, Gary, be good, be smooth, and I'm gonna be seeing you soon down there.
Love.
All right. Peace.
Peace.